Well, let's take a look at how China is acquiring intellectual property. Now, the illegal methods are pretty familiar. You'll know, of course, about trademark theft, making fake goods that look like famous brands such as Gucci or Dior. There's also copyright infringement, pirated copies of music, films, television shows, and writing. China actually has been cracking down on these two. There's also flat-out theft, computer hacking and corporate espionage used to steal technology and software. The US has suspected the Chinese government of involvement in some cases. Then, of course, there are the legal ways, buying entire US companies to gain their technology, and foreign ownership rules demanding technology transfers to allow a company just to do business. Basically, if you want to sell your product here, we want to know how it's made. And there is, of course, demanding a co-production for market access, where a foreign film must work with a Chinese company. The problem there is that once the Chinese company knows how something is made, they can make it themselves. Well, CNN spoke with a chief executive who says one of those practices made his company the victim of, quote, attempted corporate homicide. Claire Sebastian has the story.
The facts are overwhelming. It really reads like a spy novel or a major motion picture.
Daniel McGann has spent the last 7 years fighting for his company's survival.
Their strategy was to kill us, basically to eliminate us.
They is a Chinese wind turbine manufacturer called Sinovel. In 2007, American Superconductor, a Massachusetts-based energy technology company, partnered with them to provide the technology that powered their wind turbines and get access to China's burgeoning clean energy market.
When did you first realize that something was wrong?
We started to really understand in the early months of 2011.
In March of 2011, Sinovel abruptly refused to pay for a delivery.
What we learned is they had bribed an employee at the time in Europe to the tune of about $2 million to come and work for them and help them. So basically it was a bribe to get access to our technology that we weren't selling to them.
And once they had that,
they didn't need us anymore.
The news wiped nearly $1 billion off American Superconductor's market value. The employee, a Serbian national, confessed in 2011 and was sentenced to a year in jail. In January this year, the US convicted the company Sinovel of stealing trade secrets. Sentencing is set for early June. In response to the verdict, Sinovel said it's, quote, fully prepared and is actively taking measures to protect the company's interests.
Work with China to strengthen protection of intellectual property rights.
I stress the importance of protecting intellectual property.
Rampant theft of intellectual property.
Successive US presidents have pushed China to strengthen legal protections for intellectual property and crack down on theft. Some experts say there are signs of improvement.
What companies tell us is that, in general, IP protection in China is getting better. But this is a slow-moving boat. There are still serious issues with things like technology transfer, with the ability to enforce your rights in the market.
do you see any of that evidence?
As soon as we get paid, I'll call you up and tell you that I see that there's an improvement.
American Superconductor is now downsizing to a much smaller space.
We've taken the whole footprint of the company, and we've taken the headcount and reduced it to 1/3 of what it was.
It's also expanded into new technologies.
This helps bring more renewable energy onto the grid.
And is getting back on track. Still hoping this case will be a catalyst for change. Claire Sebastian, CNN Money, AM, Massachusetts.